What I'm going to show you today is how to get your graphic exported in a way that you can put it on your Google Sites page. In order for that to work, you have to have some sort of a logo file. I'm going to take this one up here, and in order to export it, I'm just going to go to File, Export Selection. Now, it comes up as a new asset. I'll probably give that a name, right, to make sure that when the file saves, it has a nice name. I'm going to call it that Weak Fish logo, and since this one's in black, I'm going to call it Weak Fish logo black. Now, to publish to the web, this has to be in a pixel-based raster graphic, which means I can't have this vector SVG right here. I need to make it a PNG, right? A JPEG would be if we were talking about photographic images, but since this is something that is made out of lines and more vectorized elements, PNG is going to give us a better end result. I know most of us are familiar with JPEGs. JPEG, though, really useful only when the image is photographic, not if it's illustrative. So I want to click PNG. Now, the other thing I'm going to come down here, I've got all these different scale settings. 1x means that it's going to be the size of whatever it is on my artboard. So if I look over here, it's 677 by 288. Quick math tells us that if the image is going to be at 72 pixels per inch, which was what the internet is, right? If I take 677, divide that by 72, I can find out that that is approximately a 9-inch wide image, right? Which may or may not be as big as I want that image to be. Now, I tend to find that if I'm exporting images that I want to stay in high quality, I at least want them to be 1,000 pixels wide. This day and age, that's probably fine. Most people aren't hurting for space. So I can choose a specific width by going down to either the height or the width, and then typing in the scale what size I want it to be. So if I want the width to be specifically 1,000 pixels, I have to change it to 1,000. If I want to help myself out in knowing what this kind of file size is, I might just call that 1,000 wide, not 100, 1,000. When that's all set, I want to put this in a place where I can find it. So I'm going to change my export folder here, export to, right now it's set to my documents. I'm going to put that in my FDD folder. And since this is part of my brand project, I'm going to export it right there. Okay, export asset. Now if I go over to FDD and into my brand project folder, I have that 1000 wide folder with this image. There we go, a nice transparent version of my logo that I can bring on to my site. So I'll go over to my site here for a second. That's my preview. I want to go to the actual site though. So if I'm going to go over to my foundations page, and let's say as part of this brand project, I also wanted to highlight the actual logo file that I made. I can go in here and press Insert, Image, Upload, go over to FDD, and then go into my 1000 wide folder, select that, and now I've got a copy of this image that I can show off to people. There's my brand, right? So that is more or less how you get images at the size you desire out of Illustrator. One last thing though, if you're putting the image on Google Sites, sometimes images will go into text frames and get part of it cut off. I'm doing this to illustrate what I'm talking about. If I want to make sure that I get to see all of my image and not just a piece of it, I need to click on this image slowly. I don't know why Google calls this the slow click. I'll click on it 3 times slowly until I get the options to crop or uncrop. If I press uncrop, it will show the whole image and not just the part within the square. Right? So if you ever are like, I can't get it to line up perfectly with whatever it is I was trying to line it up with, that's the trick right there. So just a couple things. To illustrate that again, I'll just create another fake block, come down here, and if I go to my images and I select my one that I just brought in, let's assume If for whatever reason it ended up like that, all you have to do is really quickly click on uncrop. That will bring out the whole image. Because sometimes, right, it gets close and now it's cut off the top. You just want to make sure you see everything. Click uncrop. That's all you got to do. Okay, it's as simple as that.